VP. It's weird that Dome picking her VP is almost like the 10th tier issue today. There's World War III, the markets are crashing, but Kamala Harris, who really worked hard to earn that nomination, is now going to make her selection. And who are they going to pick and why? And remember, they don't think the way we think. They don't think the way you think. They don't think the way I think. Is it Mark Kelly? Is it going to be this loser in Minnesota, Walz? Is it going to be Shapiro? I don't know. Let's ask Sean. Joining me now, my friend Sean Spicer, host of the Sean Spicer Show. He always has all the good inside juice on all this stuff. Okay, Sean, I understand everybody and their brother thinks it's Shapiro. And if I had to bet, I would bet it's Shapiro. But let's be honest, Shapiro's Jewish, and that doesn't land that well in the Democrat Party anymore. It's weird how times have changed, but who's it going to be and why?
I still think Shapiro makes the most sense. If I could take 19 electoral votes and get a better chance of getting them, that would make my life a lot easier if I were her. I think electorally, he makes the best sense. I talked to a couple Democrats about what you were just saying. I mean, like big time player Democrats. And they said to me in response to this accusation about anti-Semitism, which is unbelievably running high in the Democratic Party, they said, where are they going to go? And I guess in a way that's I get why they're thinking that way. I find it ironic that a party that loves to throw arrows the way they do has such an open problem with anti-Semitism in their ranks. And I also think it's sad to see a guy like Josh Shapiro, who is very proud clearly of his religion, backpedal the way he is. He's embarrassed, which continues to show that not just Kamala Harris, but potentially Shapiro, they stand for whatever they need to stand for at the moment. Josh Shapiro should be very proud of his religion and saying, yeah, I'm a proud Jew. I'm proud of Israel and its role in the Middle East. And yet here he is apologizing for standing firm on Israel and afraid of the work that he did in college. I did a lot of things in college I'm not proud of, but standing up for Israel is not one of them that I would be embarrassed about. And anyway, it's now, I mean, it might as well be him because they're literally both seem to be willing to say or do whatever it takes to whomever they're talking to.
Okay, Sean, let me dig into this a little bit deeper with you because I am curious how big of a problem this, Hamas lover base of theirs actually is, because there's so much, look, it's an overused phrase, but there's so much gaslighting today. There's so many paid organizations, paid protesters, paid this, paid that, and I never know whether I'm seeing the same 1,000 faces on the news every night, one at Columbia and they fly to Berkeley and do it the next day, or if they have a legitimate, 200, 500,000 person problem who hates Jews. Your Democrat friends, how big of a problem do they think this is?
It's an interesting question you're asking, Jesse, because they all acknowledge it's a problem. But their answer is, well, when it comes to voting, they're not going to vote for Trump. My concern, if I were them, would be that's fine. But there's also a third option we have, which is not to vote. And in a state like Michigan that was won by 10,703 votes in 2016, I would be very concerned about those 16 electoral votes if I were them. They seem to have it in their mind where, by the way, that's the reason we bring that up is there's a very large population of Arab Americans there. I would think it's a problem. I also think that we're overlooking young people. So you look at a state like Wisconsin where you've got Madison, huge population of college students that tend to vote Democrat. If they're disillusioned, if they really are rallying around this thing, then that's a problem. And remember, again, Wisconsin was won by 2/10 of a point last cycle. So these are margins that you're playing on the edge of in both campaigns. And if I was Harris, I think that they have to factor it in. All that being said, I would rather take Shapiro's and hope that he can get me Pennsylvania. No one else. Walz gets you Minnesota. I get it was in play with Biden. I don't think it's really that in play anymore. Mark Kelly, I don't think it gets you Arizona. I think Trump still wins Arizona. And so all that being said, and this is the first time in my lifetime that I would ever argue that you're actually using a VP to get you something, right? Most VPs are additive in the sense that they Pence helped with the evangelicals, but the voters weren't going to go anywhere else. It reinforces something that the candidate needs to have reinforced. Quayle added youth to Bush, but it wasn't like they were going anywhere. Biden added foreign policy to the newly senator from Illinois, Obama. So, but I think in this case, if Josh Shapiro can legitimately put Pennsylvania in play, there is a political reason to put him on the ticket. That being said, the other thing is, apparently, they're the only two that have any, Kamala Harris and Josh Shapiro, the only two of the finalists that have any kind of personal previous relationship.
Jeez. Okay, all right, now let's talk about Kamala for a moment. She's had a bounce in the polls. There's no question about it. Every poll is different. She's up 2, she's down 3. But she's not down like Joe Biden was down. That at least has been fairly consistent across all of them. Now, what are we seeing here, Sean? Is this just the all-out propaganda push from the Democrats and their friends in the media? That does work. It can effectively bring you up for a time. Is this the honeymoon phase that's about to end? Or are we looking at yet another 1-2% presidential race? What's your instinct on this?
Well, two things. First of all, like if this pen was the one thing that you didn't like about Democrats, and I put the pen over here in a way, I mean, that's what Kamala Harris effectively did. When they got rid of Biden, they pushed him out of the way. They took away the biggest impediment to Democrats and independents who had problems voting for him. They got rid of it. So she defaults to being the Democrat that they can live with. They don't like her, but she's just not Biden. Now, she got a sugar high. Again, you replace the one impediment that you have with anything else. People go, oh, cool. Okay, good. So she's riding a sugar high. But look, you talked about this just a second ago. Look around the world today. Look domestically today. And you realize the Biden-Harris policies are a problem. The number one issue that voters care about is the economy. What happened today scares people. It scares people who are working today, who have savings, who are hoping to retire. It scares retirees who are living on a 401k or an IRA. People are genuinely concerned today about the state of the world, whether or not we're on the precipice of a world war, whether or not what's going on in the Middle East bleeds into us to some other way, the economic implications of this market cratering. And that's because of these policies on both sides. And the one thing that Trump can say that neither one of them can say is, you may not like me, you may not like some of the things that I've said or done, but for 4 years, this country was safer and more prosperous under me than it is for them. There might have been chaos in my White House, but the world was safe and calm. They might have a boring White House, but the world has turned into a chaotic nightmare under their watch. That is an unbelievably succinct argument that they can make based on their record. It's not promises. It's not hypothetical. It's not, I will promise you, I will do this, I will appoint this. Trump can literally point at his record and say, for 4 years, I did the job. The world was safer. The country was more prosperous. The country was safer under my leadership. Do you want more of that or more of the nuttiness that's going on now?